man la Killa Ace Ali Baba Bonday watching Choice Africa TV nakala nekana
Ile dikanku na Choice Africa TV bana haini.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to South Connect, the people so connecting you live and direct from the Gambia to the international world on Choice Africa TV, those who are in the US and also Europe and diaspora. We send a big thanks to all of you for taking your time being with us. Tonight we have a special invitation to the University of the Gambia, a very interesting law faculty debate at the University of the Gambia. There is Honorable Mr. Mahmoud Sabal, former SG of the Republic of the Gambia. Mr. Ka MP also was in the house. Wife to Sabali was in the house. Mr. Ba, Mr. Jallo. Ladies and gentlemen, follow our camera team at the University Law Faculty Department of the Republic of the Gambia. It's all about South Connect.
The noise, and I think he has a very valid point. Yes, let's just listen, please. Okay, so as we said, this is the reason for the debate, and we want it to be very engaging. We want it to be very lively. So we believe there will be first-time debaters, people who have never debated before, and this is going to be their opportunity to be engaged in debating and to make a life out of public speaking. Honorable Sabali would always tell you that public speaking is something that you cannot avoid. And this is also an advice that we get from Mr. Kurubale. Whenever we meet, that's the first thing he tells me. So we appreciate their presence here, and we appreciate everybody who has supported this, and we want to thank also Debate Gambia for supporting this measure, and to the Social Science Students Association for the hard work and for being there to also host this tournament. Thank you very much.
Often this great saying that behind every great man there is a great woman. This great lady, or a lady of substance, is currently the head of human resources at Future in our hands in the Gambia. And I think we should understand what it means to talk about future in our hands, because it's very important for us to work and manage the future. If not, the future will manage us. So this lady of substance is a prominent individual that helped this country in managing the future from that dimension. She is also the broad consultant focusing women in agriculture businesses. I think she started at a very important point, that of which, if that doesn't exist, we might not feed ourselves, because I can't imagine the world without food. So agriculture, as we said, is the backbone of our economy. And that's where she is also passionate on. She's an individual that is also passionate on environmental issues, have that at heart, knowing very well that for us to have a sustainable development, we should be able to exploit our resources, and we should not, and also cater for the future generation. So she is taking a very bold step in making sure that issues related to the environment are well kept for the benefit of humanity. This individual did not also stop there. She said, why not I use the pen? Because the pen lives forever. She's also a writer, and she talked a very important point. She writes about children, and the children are the future leaders of this country. He or she who writes about children is conscious of the well-being of the future. So no wonder that all her work is future-centric. And anybody who is future-centric is a good instrument for this country. That person's name is Geneva T. Savage.
for that very great, gracious introduction. Good afternoon, honorable guests, trainees and students. Again, I'm honored to stand here in this very room. I think I was here a few weeks ago for the Debate Gambia competition. And today, I think I just somehow got coerced to stand before you today to just give you a brief statement and introduction and encouragement to motivate you further in something that you guys are already doing, which is debating. And I just want to congratulate Mr. Mustafa Aka on this great initiative once again. And to say the name itself, Banjul Open, it's such a powerful name. When I think about opens, I think about Serena Williams. And you know what she's associated. It's all about excellence. It's all about really nurturing hidden talents that we all have, that are God-given, and propelling them into something greater than ourselves, really. And the theme today, which is talking about using debate and dialogue as a substitute for violence, couldn't be more relevant, especially in this era that we're in right now. A few weeks ago, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were arguing whether to talk to somebody else about a very difficult topic. And she said, one thing I feel like people should be doing more of is pushing people to talk about uncomfortable things. She said, we don't do enough of it. And this is a European, but she feels like it's a common factor in the world, this Maslaha syndrome. Let's not open a can of worms. But if you don't open it, it's still going to be there. And one day it will burst open. So why not talk about it and deal with it with the right methods and the right training? And here you are being trained on how to debate, right? The Wolof say, "Lo jango doko tari." So here you are getting the necessary skills to be able to debate, to be able to dialogue in a very constructive and productive way. I think this is a great opportunity that many people didn't have. I didn't have it growing up. Yes, we did debates in primary school, but we didn't get the necessary skills that you are getting here to make it actually productive and constructive. So I just want to enjoin you to take this very seriously, because we have a nation that we need to build, and we definitely need these kind of skills to be able to bring all hands on deck. Because otherwise, people are going to feel sidelined if we are not able to bring everybody, opposing views, listen to them, critically think about the issues, and try to find a solution that at least will benefit everybody. And I think this is the breeding ground for that kind of culture. So I want to congratulate everybody for taking part in this. Thank you very much.
A young man of this country produced the best result that can be ever produced in the history of this country. That is to say, in short, he was the best graduate of the University of the Gambia when it commenced. Thereafter, he served as a youth activist, somebody who sees the young people's struggle as his own struggle, somebody who believes that struggling for the youth is struggling for the future of this country. And he takes this as a tax upon himself to push ahead and inspire the young people. That is to say that aside from the theory, he is also practical. And he also rose to the office of the Secretary General and Minister of Presidential Affairs. Where he served this country extensively well for the best interests of every individual. That is, he went into national service. He also established, or he is the founder of Leadership Academy. He believed that, as Chinua Achebe said, the problem of Africa is not the air, not the soil. The problem of Africa is leadership. So he believed that if we groom good leaders, then Africa is in a safe hand. So he went forward to establish a leadership academy wherein people are nurtured with the virtue of leadership and how to make this world a better place, particularly the Gambia. Of course, yes, he is a motivational speaker. He speaks to the soul of the people, as Socrates would say. Because when intellectual speaks, he speaks to your soul. And when your soul speaks, you respond. So this he does by motivating people. He does not forget the pen. Young people of this country, after graduating with a fiery soul, they say, let me now capture the money. He said the pen is the only thing that will serve this country everlasting. Because those that has written in decades and centuries are still remembered by their wisdom. So he picked the pen and decided to share the wisdom that was given to him by divine. So this he kept doing. And he served as the former Director General, Director of both GRTS and Daily Observer, wherein he attracted young people of this country to serve in sensitive positions and to also promote the development of this nation. Of course, yes, he is a youth empowerer. He empowered the young people. He believed that if you put in strength into the young people, they will be able to do more. He inspired the people in diverse ways. Give them wisdom. Encourage them to keep the move. And in fact, one of the things that he has been doing is also to promote debate. And he was a sponsor in the last tournament, and he has sponsored a lot of activities. And of course, yes, he will keep sponsoring and will sponsor this activity. So this individual is Mr. Savali. Mr. Savali, you are highly welcome.
Master of Ceremonies, my brother Mr. Kurbali from the University, the convener, Honorable Mustafa Kap, my very own wife, my better brain, University Dasar, distinguished debaters, guests. I have my own guest here, Mr. Pante, who is a Gambian student, who is a chemist. We were supposed to have a mentoring meeting, but Mustafa kept flipping the time, so I have to plead with him to come and join me here. I hope you're having fun. You're okay. So he's off to be with me here, and then we can go. I see Adam Acham is here. What is he doing here? He's supposed to be a tourism promoter. Let's go ahead. You want to use debate for tourism? I think this has the potential for that, by the way, on a very serious note. Mr. Ansujak is here, Mr. Gisgis. There are very important people here. You know Ansujak of GRTS? Yeah, sure. It's the guy who asks those tough questions at the WhatsApp show. Anyway, I'm very glad to be here again. And I want to thank you. I see my speech is so important, even Mr. Legacy came to listen to me. I see Diva Junior is here. I want to thank you for having me here. And you know when I'm speaking, you don't have a choice, you have to listen. I'm not the kind of person who say, please listen to me. You call me here to speak. When somebody speaks, what should happen? Listen, so that the soul can respond. So you have to listen. And this is very important in your forums. Last year I was here, I made the same very angry reaction until I almost slapped Pamata, your media guy. You know, public speaking is like a performance. It is not like, it is a performance, it's an art. And with any performance, if there is interruption, it disrupts the flow of thoughts. This is speaking is thinking on your feet, and it's one of the most difficult things that any human being can do. So when people are speaking, it behooves you to listen. Just like when Jay was speaking and he linked the Banjul Open to Serena Williams Open, Mustafa was not listening because somebody interrupted him. And these are moments of inspiration that can turn lives and situations and countries around. Inspiration doesn't have to happen over a year. Just one split second. A moment, a hunch, a flash, and there you go, your life changes. So when we come to such forums, we should listen. And when I come here and I say, listen, it's not just about me by force, I'll go to you. If you continue to speak, I'll come to you. I've done that before. But for other people who are less assertive than me, you know, who are insulting you in their mind and pretending it's cool, we need to listen. We have to, I think anybody who's going to be chair of these occasions should put emphasis on this all the time. And I know as organizers, sometimes you are constrained, you actually have to speak to each other. Do it with notes, send a text, man. It's not that expensive, bro. It's Wi-Fi, Facebook Messenger is free. But I can't emphasize enough the importance of this. Because in sitting down and listening, that in itself is training for discipline, because it's much easier to speak than to listen. It's much easier to speak than to listen, because we are all urged. We have this constant urge for self-expression. We have this constant urge to say something, because we always forget that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we reverse it, we pretend we have 2 mouths, so we speak more often than we listen. And one of the problems in our world, in our country, is because we don't listen. Even when we are debating, we are not listening, we are just shouting. And as one great thinker once said, it's not the height of your voice, it's the depth of your thoughts. So we have to be able to listen when we are in situations where we are talking to each other. Having said that, I was here last year to talk about public speaking, and I basically tried to make the case for debate for intelligent speech, anchoring my thoughts on the noble verses of the Holy Quran, where Allah tells us, Ar-Rahmanu allama al-Quran, khalaq al-insan allamahu al-bayan. Allah says He's the most gracious. He's so gracious that He khalaq al-insan, He created us as human beings, allamahu al-bayan. You know, He taught us intelligent speech. Now, you cannot underestimate the importance of that. It's because we are human beings, that's why we underrate it. There are other animals who express themselves in other ways. Now, talk to those who are stammering, those who are dumb. This is a gift of Allah that we must honor. And how do we honor the gifts of Allah? By saying Alhamdulillah and sinning. We use the gifts and make them grow and multiply. So the case for intelligent speech is already made. And you know, I asked my wife, because I was at Kairawa Senior Secondary for as a guest speaker yesterday, finished. I went to meet Modu Salah in Mangua. I didn't have time to write a speech. So I asked my wife to do a speech for me, and she didn't. That's why, of course, I said, we all speak on the spot. No speech for all of us, we all speak. So that was the because actually, that's what we are encouraging you here to do, to come and stand and, you know, not just speak. As my favorite philosopher would say, arise and sweat Martin, to think on your feet. Now, I was recently invited as guest speaker at the Islamic Online University's 10th year anniversary. And when I did my speech, I swiped the words of the Bible, because I love my Bible. You know, I did Bible studies at high school, and I still have my Bible at home. I don't care. Are there any Salafis here who want to cut my throat or something? I love my Bible. It's beautiful. Both the content and the language, especially the King James Version. Try your copy. And I'm not secular, by the way, Mustafa. I'm a religious man. I'm not secular. I'm a Muslim, and I love Christians. I disagree with Khalifa Salah. The Gambia is not a secular republic. We are Christians and Muslims, people of God and from God. How can we be divorced from our realities? The state is not secular. Is it Islamic? No. You may have no right to declare this country an Islamic republic. But we are a godly people, so the Gambia is not a secular republic, and I'm ready to defend that at any level. So I swiped the Bible in my speech at the Islamic Online University, and I said, in the beginning, there was the word. Yes, John, I know you are one of the disciples. And the word was, I said, Iqra, because that's the first word in the Quran, and Iqra in the Quran means read. But when I posted that on my timeline on Facebook, one of my former professors, Professor Dr. Ibrahim Boy, one of the first Gambians to teach at the UET, he came and said, no, Mr. Sabali, actually, I think in the beginning there was the word, but the word was actually kun. What is kun in Arabic? It means be. Kun fayakun. It means the word to be. Now, this is very interesting. So in a recent conversation with an Islamic scholar, I spoke to him on the lines of the importance of words and stories, which we try to underrate and underestimate in our educated foolishness. where we promote STEM and try to kill the liberal arts, I think is the most misguided policy we are running in this country, supported by the World Bank. And you think the World Bank is interested about your development? We need to start thinking for ourselves and stop being post offices for the thoughts of Western international organizations. We need to think for ourselves. So I was talking to this guy about words, and the guy just told me, he said, Mr. Saba, you know, this is not complicated, actually. God himself, his whole work is built on messages. Messages. So what happened in the beginning, God started working, go and got a peel and pickers and started digging the earth to make Adam. No. He said, kun, fayakun. He said, be, and Adam was. So it was the word, it was a message, it was a speech. Now we can't underrate the importance of these things. So words and speaking, public speech, debate, these are of the utmost importance in the building and maintenance of civilizations, past and present. You know, the Arabs, they so prided themselves with their oratory and their poetry and their eloquence. That's why the greatest miracle that Allah ever revealed is the Quran. It's speech that astounded the Arabs. They could not know how a man who is not literate, technically, could convey such intelligent speech. We cannot underestimate and underrate the importance of public speech, of debate, of intelligent speech. Last year when I came here, I had my arguments. I quoted the Quran, I quoted the philosopher Horizon Sweat Martin. But this year, I chanced upon an essay I wrote about debate some 5 years ago when Yahya Jammeh was still here. Yes, and now they call us names and say, some of them are just speaking now, only when Yahya Jammeh left is when they started speaking. We are talking in this country while he was here. And they are the patriots, we are unpatriotic, we'll find out. That's why recently I made a quote on social media. In time, the defenders will also be called the enablers. You can quote me anywhere. So I wrote this essay. It's called Room for Debate. It was when I was doing those epistolatory essays with Sheriff Bojang on the standards. And essentially the core of my speech would just be to read that to you. But I think it suffices to make the case for debate in this country and anywhere else. But I thought of some verse of the Quran this morning on speech, on messages, on what we say. And one of the verses that came to my mind is verse 263 of Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah says, قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى. He said, good, kind speech is better than charity followed by injury. Now, this is very important. Normally, charity is what? Even with gold, diamond, and silver. What Allah is saying, saying kind speech, kind words, good public statements, good private statements is even better than the charity. You give somebody something, and then you go and you give somebody a gift of $100,000, and at night you send your children, your NIA to go and arrest his father and take him to who knows where. So I'm still trying to push again emphasis on the importance of what we are doing here, of talking to each other in an honest, sincere, and kind way. Because the reverse is what is happening in our domains, both in real life and in social media especially, where we are tearing each other apart. Even the so-called strugglers who branded themselves heroes, they are tearing each other apart, literally on social media as we are speaking. Yesterday, somebody sent me a video from Gunjur, somebody just going berserk on a young guy. You know, where are we heading for? Is this the kind of debate that we are looking for? Is this the kind of Gambia that we fought for years to change? So we need to refocus our mental lenses on what kind of discourse we are going to have. It's important we speak, but how do we speak? In what context? For what purposes? Which is even more important, because sometimes it's just for that extra 100 likes on Facebook or Twitter. It's just for that opportunity to speak on Freedom newspaper, regardless of what they are saying, whether it's true or not. My wife and I were listening to a young, innocent Gambian lady who was maligned by an online blog, accused her of whatever. And she was angry. You can see in her. She was angry. She felt violated. Is this right? Is this the kind of public engagement, public debate that we want in this new Gambia? So as Gambians, young, smart, energetic, influential, we need to keep in mind that our words, our utterances, our debates are of tremendous importance, and therefore we need to treat public speaking, public engagement, public dialogue, public debate as a sacred matter worthy of our care and cultivation. I say care and cultivation because we are here to cultivate the spirit and the character of intelligent, decent debate. You know, if you underrate debate and oratory and public speech, you don't know a skinny guy from Kansas whose father is from Kenya called Barack Hussein Obama. For me, his rise to power is nothing but the triumph of the art of oratory, public speaking, and debate. Now to my essay, Room for Debate, that I wrote when Yaya Jammeh was here, and I got feedback from my good friend, a very tough Yaya Jammeh critic, Ole Samate in New York, who recently did a very popular article on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. When he read it, he said, if you write another essay like this, somebody will be following you with a gun. He told me, it looks like you took this from the parchments of the Declaration of American Independence. Now pretend for a minute that you are Sheriff Bojang. That means you are tall, dark, from Brigham with a lot of afro and some funny looking shoes, and you also own the Standard newspaper. So I'm talking to you now. Here goes an abbreviated version. Dear Sheriff, I write to you on the above subject, Room for Debate, with great concern. I have observed over the years that our society is not very friendly to entertaining opposing thoughts on issues. Yet debate is very essential for the evolution of a healthy social system. Ours is a society well adept in censoring speech and thought, and this is no recipe for innovation and meaningful change. The degree of undue self-censorship in our society is astounding. I know something about the need for caution in public forums if one does not want to be misunderstood or misquoted, but I see no crime or danger in asking the right questions or sharing your thoughts, expertise, responsibility in office. I know of numerous technicians in high offices, and this is still happening in this so-called New Gambia. Numerous technicians in high offices in government and the private sector who would not voice their opinion without censoring themselves for fear of reprisals from their superiors. Bring it down to the family level, where kids are not supposed to have their opinions on anything. How about wives who are just supposed to nod to whatever their husbands decree, even if it be to the detriment of the entire family? My friend, why are our people so keen on constraining the expression of thought? Now, how many beautiful and change-inspiring ideas do we crush daily because of this? Is it not the case, my good friend, that the human mind was made to soar, to think, to challenge tradition, and to chart new courses for progress? It was Abraham Lincoln, former American president, who once said, "Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored." But how do we produce geniuses when our young ones are yoked to the old ways of thinking and doing? I am sure you've had your fair share of the elderly telling you how they lived their lives and conducted the affairs of their society as if their scripts were written in the very gospel that Jesus Christ brought us, cast in the hardest marble ever produced. We are not encouraged to think anew in this fast evolving world. We are coaxed and cajoled to stick to the ways of our ancestors. But I do believe that if you want to live the scripts of a 19th century world in this day and time, you are doomed to failure and confusion. My favorite columnist with my favorite paper, the New York Times, David Brooks, once wrote, he said, "There is no idea so true and no movement so pure that it doesn't require scrutiny." He said, "There was no position in this fallen world without flaws." This statement had a profound impact on me, and as I reflected on our professional and social forums in the Gambia, and my experience in regional conferences, I thought to myself that we need to change our ways. Now, why are our people so averse to debate? Why can't we stomach decent dissent? I remember Baba Gale Jallow alluding to what he called the ruthless objectivity of intellectual discourse. But why can't we embrace this kind of engagement for better policy? Now, I am not oblivious of the dangers of excessive freedom, and I do know of the venom that is sometimes spewed from unruly loudmouths that have no regard for decency and decorum in dialogue. But should this be reason enough to stifle debate? Can't we check the vice of unbridled utterances while avoiding stifling debate? I believe this can be done, for as my eloquent mother would say in Mandinka, Nyokana sosofa, sosokana nyofa. Now, I will not torture this beautiful proverb into any English rendition, but if your non-Mandinka audience simply wants to know it for balance, you can tell them it means that in the plantation where we're growing, the coos should not kill the beans, but the beans should not also kill the coos. We should discourage indecent dissent, but as another of my mom's proverbs would have it, Niye kabate yusola ikanin bankolelo. If you break the kaba fruit with anger, you will eat it with sand. Sheriff, and remember you are sheriff, don't forget. Censorship has a long history, but what purpose has it served and what benefit has it generated for societies? I will not be so presumptuous as to assume that your answer will tell me that censorship is totally bad, for I do know that it does serve, well, someone. Somewhere, somehow. But are the benefits commensurate with what malady and stagnation that it visits on our minds as a society whose freedom of expression is held to hostage? If old roads lead to old cities, then old thoughts and ways of thinking lead to states of mind and being devoid of progress. Let our young generation be encouraged to tread new mental paths leading to progressive states of mind and being. It was Henry David Thoreau who once said, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. Let us step to our own drums then. Why should I do your mbala when my music is salsa? And now, my good friend, enough said on this matter. Shall I not then stop here so that I can leave you with some room for debate? Your friend in court, Mohammed Saleh. Thank you.
And good afternoon to you all. Mr. Chairman, thank you for that introduction. Rather glowing. Let me say invited guests, our distinguished guests, Mr. Sabali and Madame Sabali. We welcome you on the campus. As always, you're always welcome here. And our students, the debaters, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin with a word of thanks to the organizers, the UTG Social Sciences and Humanities Students Association. It is, yeah, you're doing a good job. And that's why I decided you should have the hall for free. It is a privilege to be invited to give a few words. I must say outright, albeit not attending your previous events, I have silently supported your activities, especially the debating events organized and held here on campus. I've always viewed your activities as one of the most valuable on campus. Indeed, one of the best ways to create memorable days
during college life is being active, yes, indeed, it's being active in events such as debates. And this was really encapsulated in Mr. Sabali's statements. I was asked to come and speak on debating and public speaking, both of which, depending on the context, may be one and the same. So I will try to say a little about the benefits of debating and public speaking. As students, what can we gain from activities such as debating? But first, let us understand what debating really is all about, so that we will do away with the abstract connotations that we get from debating, or the meaning of debating. In looking deep, we will discover that debating and public speaking at the same time can be effective tools for progressive student life and certainly very important weapons of the professional life, especially if you are aspiring to serve in the public arena, such as practicing a profession of law or a business or a career in politics. And I think our Mr. Friend here, Mr. Carr, can tell us something about that. I think our friend Mr. Mustafa Carr can really attest to that. Where is Mr. Carr? He's out? He's out, yes. If I may digress just a little bit, for a minute. My friend Mr. Carr, we rooted for you during the last elections. We are very hopeful that you will become one of the rising stars in this nation. Just one day, we hope. I personally had hoped that your presence in the new parliament would have injected the well-needed dynamics of political debate on issues of importance to this nation. So, in the words of Jesse Jackson, we will keep the hope alive. For you, Mr. Carr. Yeah, really. And the rest of you listening perhaps may have a silent aspiration for politics. There's nothing wrong with it. It can be a great and noble profession. I personally believe this time more than any other time in our nation's history, the Gambia here, we need a dynamic parliament full of life and discussions, dynamic parliament full of life and discussions on issues of national importance, a parliament that would rigorously debate issues before making laws, and certainly not to rubber stamp any legislative proposals, as had certainly been for decades on end in the just concluded republic. We have a new republic in the Gambia. Well, I know my friend Mr. Sabali referred to it so-called New Gambia. Yeah, in some contexts we'll call it so-called, because it doesn't have to be. And certainly in the New Gambia here, I really believe that. And certainly not to rubber stamp any proposals like that. We have a new republic, yes, okay, let's call it that. We must understand debate is the bedrock of democracy. It's the bedrock of democracy. And certainly this was also well resonated in Mrs. Sabali's speech and in the Madame's speech as well. And so we cannot forget that it is the bedrock of democracy in any culture or political system. It is a fundamental part of freedom of expression, which is itself recognized worldwide as a basic human rights. To realize the importance of debate, we just have to look to the alternative. There are numerous examples in history of autocrats who demand blind acceptance of their rule. Blind acceptance of their rule. Do I have to go far to give an example? Thank God I can even stand here today and say that without going to mile 4. I call it mile 4 because 2 is full already. 2 has always been full during the time. No democratic government should attempt to govern or rule without listening to the population, to the voters. It is smart politics to hear what the people have to say on issues that affect their lives, because he who feels it knows it. He who feels it knows it. The voters know it because they feel it. And certainly, we have to say that people know more than the central government on how education, business, or health sector is working for them. The people know that. So the central governments everywhere in the world should promote debate about direction of change and modernization of those services that impact on people's lives. And that is exactly what we need today in this country. We need to promote debate. And what you're doing right here, I wouldn't say it's the beginning of promoting debate. It's actually a long way in promoting debate. And we really need that right now. The alternative to autocracy is an open society which welcomes and encourages debate as a healthy way to discuss ideas. Debaters. We have to listen to that one. Today, while we nurture our students to get involved in debates, we realize that no democratic government should try to rule without listening to voters. Most policy issues have an impact on people. On the prices they pay for their bread, for example, on the way their children are educated, and on how they are treated in hospitals, so on and so forth. Anyway, Mr. Carr, now you're back. We hope that one day you will be in the center of these debates in the National Assembly of Gambia. One day, and many, many other casts as well, following. And now the benefits of debating. Let's just try and understand a little bit about that, the benefits. Debating teaches interested participants as you're listening, in the fundamental principles of critical thinking and understanding of presentation skills. Critical thinking and presentation skills are really fundamental. Debating is a common practice in all areas of life and helps students to critically look at information, and that is to evaluate information and to be able to present the results in ways that persuade others. So it's about persuasion, healthy persuasion. Students especially can benefit from debating in many ways, but I'll give you a few, about 5 of them. Way number 1, as you're listening, it will help you to develop analytical skills in areas of academic research. We're still going to school, we'll keep going to school for the rest of our lives, for as long as we're interested in education. Indeed. And we can't do that without having the facts. And how do you get the facts? You must do research. So debating will help you to have skills in analytical skills in order to be able to discern the data that you'll get, the information you'll get to deal with. Number 2, debating helps students to think and deliver useful information. Not just any information, but useful information. And number 3, debating helps students to learn to analyze information properly and how to form, present, and defend views and opinions based on the evidence. We have to be able to nurture this kind of culture now in our country. Number 4, debating and public speaking helps students develop their public speaking skills and have fun, as debating is a game. While arguing with others on a range of topics such as law, democracy, human rights, education, and even sports, etc., etc. So it's a game. And you know, sometimes when you're on the social media, perhaps you might come across parliaments in some countries debating. Once in a while you see the UK House debating, and once in a while you might see South Africa House debating. I've not seen Gambia debating so much. Maybe it's because DRTS is not going there. But really, you learn a lot from how people interact, you know, in those kind of forums or fora. And then, of course, let's go to the east. Perhaps you might see somewhere, perhaps in Taiwan, or was it in Korea, when I saw guys like monkeys were dancing on the desks, fighting each other. And I think that was in Turkey. They did that also. You know, pulling punches really hard. You know, debating with punches. Is that what we want to do here? No. Debating with punches. That's not what we want to do. You know, we want to use the power of the word, and the word originating from the pen, as Mr. Sabali said. The words originating from the pen. And certainly. So number 5, and finally, most of all debating and public speaking helps to grow confidence in all areas by giving students, yes indeed, confidence, the skills to address a crowd and develop their own opinion. You know, I recall in your speech, Madam Sabali, you were saying that you never had the benefit of being guided as a debater while you were going to school here, primary school in those days, the English system. All right, and yes, that resonated with me because I came up through the same time, and certainly we never had those benefits. And so, you know, let's fast forward now another 15, 20 minutes, 20 years. I see how dynamic our young folks are here, you know, how articulate they are in public. You know, they're so good. And so we need to really nurture that, because we lack that, yes, indeed. We lack that during our time coming up. So some of us had to learn this trade by really knocking our knees together for quite a while. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, coming up with the butterfly. Some of you understand what I mean? Yeah, and so we have to get over this over time. Some of you guys now, this is natural. So let's make it more natural. Now let's talk in public, and of course with good information, not just talking for talking's sake. And so we have to say what makes debating especially valuable for fostering development of oral skills is that it is not only structured, but also interactive. We have to try to interact here, you know, while we do this. Certainly debating is one of the best ways to make friends and earn the respect of friends and colleagues. You know, this is if it's done on equal terms. And that's what we try to nurture here. Debating requires that participants listen. Listen. Again, let me make another reference to Mr. Sabali here in terms of listening. Yes, indeed. And so without that, definitely it won't work. We have to learn to listen, think, and then respond. Right. It is not enough for debaters to simply memorize and perform a speech. It's not about that, memorizing and performing a speech. Instead, debaters must listen to their opponents, engage in the questioning process, and incorporate this information in their own presentations. This, we hope, will be what you will basically be observing here during the course of the events in the next few days to come. Let me quote one gentleman, Peter Millett. Peter Millett, he was an ambassador from the US in Libya. In his blog, he wrote, quotation, in quotes, schools in many countries have debating societies, such as this one. At my school, he said, we were encouraged by our teachers to tackle the most controversial subjects of the day. It taught us skills that have been invaluable in our working lives about the importance of preparation, about setting our key points in a simple and logical way, and about anticipating the counter-argument, close quote. This is what the gentleman said in his blog. So certainly, it's about being prepared, it's about using certain skills, and it's about expecting the unexpected. Debate is also an excellent way to develop critical thinking skills, as I said before. Debate can also be used to explore issues in an area such as social sciences that you are in, and the humanities, and economics, history, so on and so forth. So there's no end to it. You know, as long as there is human life, there is human activity, there is human proposal, whatever you think of, it should be debated. And it can be debated. The process of researching a debate is one of the examining of the pros and cons of an issue, determining what the problems are and considering alternative solutions. The research and presentation of a debate is clearly a teamwork, and I see that you are going to be in a team here. It's clearly a teamwork, and you must really try to act in that manner. And certainly, the research and presentation of a debate is clearly teamwork, as we said, and like debate explicitly develops the skills needed to work in teams. So you're going to learn a lot of teamwork here over the period, over the week. I hope that we will leverage the benefits of teamwork. All of this will be basically conducted in a public forum, central to the fundamentals of public speaking. I'll just say a little bit about that, just central to it. Number one, you've got to be prepared. You must be prepared and well prepared. Number two, research the issue at hand. You must research it. Number three, know your audience, the expectations of your audience. Then you'll be on the way to go as far as public speaking is concerned. Just a little tip there.
Well, we thank you very much. Thank you especially for watching this special university law faculty students on their special debate about how the law, rules and regulations. I really have an idea now, and it is very interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Carr, for bringing us this opportunity for us to understand and learn more about you people over there. I want to say one thing to the rest of you over there. Please keep it on. Don't get discouraged. Be there. It's for you. We love you all. Bye.